Welcome to the Afterspin, opinions from thought leaders in our state. I want to ask John Hood and Chris Fitzsimon. 5th District Congresswoman Virginia Foxx wrote an op-ed piece in the Wall Street Journal on New Year's Eve. Kind of got lost in the shuffle because of all the merriment, but in language, talking about the language we use in education, calling it classist. Simply saying a community college or university education is higher education infers that trade schools or vocational education is lower or inferior. She says we're going to break the stigma associated with some forms of education. We will never overcome the abiding sense of inequality and unfairness so many Americans feel. Your reaction to that, Chris?
Well, my reaction is that Congresswoman Virginia Foxx must have a lot of time on her hands. I'm not sure this is the biggest issue facing the country. I mentioned in this past week's show, we have a shutdown, we have services now being affected, people's lives being disrupted, 800,000 people. I don't disagree that we need to not denigrate vocational education, but I think that attacking a term as higher education, which has been around for a long time, probably isn't worth the time.
Interesting. Do words matter, John?
They do. Keep in mind that she was, until the House flipped, she was the chair of the House committee.
Well, further, she was the administrator of, was it Mayland Community College?
She worked
at Mayland Community College,
and she was in the university system. But her most recent job, and still has ranking, is to work on education issues. That's her job in Congress. That's her primary responsibility or committee assignment. She was chair of the committee. She had a bill that would have significantly, I think, improved education at the federal level to the extent that the federal government should be involved. There's some certain things it should do and shouldn't do. She had an excellent bill in that regard. So I understand her passion around this, and I think that she's at least right that vocational education is an unfortunate term at the moment. And if you're going to describe education that doesn't go to a bachelor degree or a graduate degree, at least career and technical is better, though she would argue just talk about what they're being trained to do and educated to do and not worry so much about the categories. I do think she's, in the long run, for example, the distinction between community colleges and public universities, in my opinion, it's going to be elided a bit.
Yeah.
Now, that will make people uncomfortable, particularly if you're in the UNC system, but that is coming, as is a lot more private provision of post-secondary credentialing and training. There's going to be a lot of people who don't go to any of the public institutions anymore, you know, in the next 10 to 20 years.
Well, we're opening up this conversation. And I looked at Virginia's comments as being another voice in this discussion so far as governance in education, and I hear your point, but I do think words matter, Chris.
Well, words matter, but I'd also like her to spend some more time looking at the for-profit education industry that is now being deregulated. She's been a part of that has serious problems. There's issues. The University of Phoenix is finally back trying to do the right thing. They were sanctioned, they were giving degrees to people who dropped out. There was a big issue of the debt they graduate with those. We have plenty of the idea I'm getting across is we have a lot of problems in education and higher education. What we call specific things is not our biggest problem.
So this needs to be a both and.
Well, of course.
Talk about this and perhaps other issues. Well, thank you for watching the Afterspin. We'll have more video all during the week on ncspin.com.